Oh, man, this is so good to see.
Ministerio de Trabajo, Empleo y Seguridad Social, afuera. Ministerio de Educación, adoctrinamiento, afuera. Ministerio de Transporte, afuera.
Adios, you CIA propagandist. As that, of course, is Pete Hegseth with his major decision as Donald Trump, I think, just made the most important policy decision of his presidency. And even though it's short, it's leading up to some really huge, vast, tremendous changes within our national security state that is being put in check in more ways than one. Absolutely exciting news to get into today, as what you just saw was Pete Hegseth, our current defense secretary, that has evicted the New York Times, NPR, NBC, and Politico from their Pentagon offices in order to make room for One America News, the New York Post, and Breitbart News Network. Yes, you heard that correctly. Hey, with the way that things are going, we might get an office in there sometime soon here, as the shift and the tide has changed here, as Donald Trump has also issued all federal employees to remove their pronouns from their email signatures by the end of the day. Now, even though this is a largely kind of symbolic gesture there, it does represent this shift, this change, this kind of unique, amazing, incredible situation we are in right now, where the diversity statements at the walls on the FBI are being painted over. I love this, not just for its larger kind of representation here, but highlighting these shifts, these changes are going to be big, are going to be vast, as now we are finding out that numerous FBI agents who worked on the J6 case investigation and investigated Donald Trump will be fired with their supervisors. Major news, as the AP writes. Trump administration fires prosecutors involved in these larger cases here, as this is actually draining the swamp. Now, Donald Trump has promised this to particularly happen in 2016. Let's be honest here. He hired some really awful people. He hired some really bad people. That really didn't happen. Now he's delivering. He's making good on his promises, and he's actually carrying them out in such a spectacular way. And, of course, it took him being the larger victim of these larger predatory, very aggressive, very unfair practices by the DOJ and by the FBI, as I know a lot of people that have been affected by them that are still facing criminal charges because they existed or they wanted to operate with cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin, or they were politically involved. And the state said, you know what? Yeah, we're going to make sure that everything looks like a nail because we're a hammer, and we're going to figure things out the best way we can by taking out people who are ideologically opposed to us politically, which is not supposed to happen with a justice system. But as we know, FBI agents colluded, and this is the kind of larger kind of propaganda efforts here by the corporate media here that are saying, oh, he's just being so fair. He's just firing everyone. There's not even any care and consideration. No. There actually is, because when you look at the records here, you see clear collusion within even Trump's old DOJ, old FBI, that was also colluding against him. As U.S. Senator Grassley just detailed how there were new emails that were just released, specifically highlighting how agents were colluding with an operation code word Arctic Thrust in order to try to indict and put the former president, at the time, former president of the United States, away.
To something I'm going to share with you, information about the FBI's that's never been made public before. In my hand are a series of FBI emails. The second email, February 24th, 2022, email from Thibault to John Crabb, a prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, saying, quote, I had a discussion with the case team, and we believe there is predication to include former President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, as a predicated subject, end quote. This FBI case would later be codenamed Arctic Frost.
Yep, and they went after Donald Trump. They went after him very viciously. He faced 700 years in jail. He became a convicted felon. The president of the United States is a convicted felon, a badge of honor with the way that things were going. But why did they happen? Why did they unfold the way that they did? They happen because of an unjust, hijacked justice system that was acting like a banana republic, like communistic dictatorship that said, yeah, oh, you're thinking the wrong thoughts in your head there. We're going to track, trace, database you, surveil you, watch every step, raid your home, which they did to Donald Trump, and we're going to find something wrong, even though we might not know something wrong. We're going to find it anyway. As it's also important to note here that the DOJ under Donald Trump was also actively working against them. This is a major story from the New York Post, detailing specifically from Jeffrey Epstein's cellmate that described a situation where specifically prosecutors came to him and said, you know what? Hey, if you just give us some dirt on Donald Trump, if you give us some information, we'll make all the difficult things you're facing go away. And they did this to a prolific child herder. This guy was an absolute monster. And this guy was on a tear, hurting thousands of children with the full protection of the FBI since the 1990s that we know of. Probably could have gone a lot longer, but the FBI played a major role here in obfuscating and making sure thousands of children never got justice here. So these people getting fired and the corporate media shedding a tear like, oh, no, fire him. Good. Absolutely good. Fire all of these people. They do not deserve any position of power since they abused it so ritualistically under the Obama, under the old Trump, and under the Biden administration. But now I think Trump realized, I got to get rid of these crazy people. These people are aggressive. These people are insane. These people are just captivated, not on doing their jobs, which they're supposed to. They're supposed to be going after real criminals. There's real criminals. There's traffickers, there's abusers, there's monsters, there's sociopaths out there. There's a lot of bad people out there. And parent-teacher school conferences, that's where you want to spend the huge federal budget, the huge national security state to go after? That just doesn't add up here, as there's going to be other people here that are going to be fired that a lot of people are naming, which we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. But before we do, we wanted to remind people to sign up to lookunfiltered.com. We are going to be setting up another day for our range day, which is going to be happening here in Southern Florida. It was supposed to happen today. It's not happening today. It's going to happen another day just for members, as we do a lot of really cool stuff. I got to shoot some members-only videos. I'm going to do that very soon. I think we released a couple within the last few days, but I want to get on my grind again. I want to make sure I release as many as possible, as truly I have a lot to get off of my burdened chest and back, especially when it comes to some of the larger things that are happening behind the scenes here. I'm going to shoot that video soon. I apologize for not giving a lot of people answers. I'm trying to work things out diplomatically. I'll give you guys the full backstory on lookunfiltered.com very soon, as we have 12 plus years of exclusive videos. Some of them are just very personal. You get a kind of inner workings. You get a kind of insight to how the sausage is made here behind the scenes. You get an insight to the larger perspective of what's really happening here. But more importantly, I also make sure to center a lot of the content that's on there about helping you making the best informed decisions for yourself individually on a one-on-one basis. So I do strive towards providing you the best amount of information so you could be, of course, armed and make the right decisions in this world. As I was specifically telling people, hey, it's heyday. It's open season on conservatives, Republicans, and alternative media. There was a moment, there was times throughout the Biden administration, we're kind of like, oh man, it's only a matter of time now. We ain't doing nothing illegal. I don't do nothing illegal at all. I make sure to dot my I's, cross my T's. I don't do any substance. I don't do anything wrong, and still, it doesn't matter. A lot of people weren't doing anything wrong. Individuals like, of course, Brandon Straka, that just released this statement on Twitter saying President Trump has fired all federal prosecutors who participated in the J6 prosecution of innocent people. as he specifically describes two women that were prosecuting him under the Department of Justice, describing one that, quote, used the weight of the federal Justice Department to force innocent people into having to make false confessions and destroy their lives. Russo knew that I did not encourage the crowd to take a shield on J6, nor did I encourage the crowd to enter the building. And yet during my plea hearing, she told the judge she wanted to hear me say out loud that I did. And she forced me to say those words. Yeah, those are crazy, insane people, especially when you look at how they kind of went after a lot of these individuals, how they set them up, how a lot of questions still remain about federal informants, federal agents involved in these larger scams here. But clearly, there was a lot of judicial misconduct here with a lot of these particular cases, as it's not just Brandon Straka that was implicated here. A lot of people, a lot of journalists were, of course, implicated here. As Mike Cernovich says, majority of the country either thought the DOJ and the FBI filed false charges against Trump and his supporters, or they don't care. The emotional theatrics of Trump's first term don't work anymore. Absolutely. As a lot of the people in the corporate media, they're clutching their pearls like, oh no, you fired federal prosecutors that abused their positions. We don't care. Donald Trump doesn't care as well. And this is a major move. This is big here because it shows that the gloves are off. It shows that Trump isn't trying to appease people. It shows that Trump isn't trying to kiss ass. He's not trying to curry favors here. He's not trying to play nice. And that's the type of Trump we needed. As looking back at everything, specifically from the last election, 2020 was a blessing in disguise because this would have never happened. The same prosecutors that was still trying to set Donald Trump up under his own administration would have still been in there. And now these individuals that have orchestrated these larger witch hunts, these larger kind of attacks against political thought leaders, now finally will be out of a job. Now, there's some other people saying, hey, these people deserve to be investigated. These people deserve to be prosecuted themselves. And there could be a larger possibility that this could happen, as, of course, Joe Biden pardoned the J6 committee preemptively. Why did he do that? Was there some kind of wrongdoing here? Because people are putting the kind of picture together and saying, whoa, hold on there. Hold on. This looks oddly kind of peculiar here, as we still don't know the larger kind of bigger questions surrounding that date, like the pipe bomber, but you know, we had evidence that was held, we had evidence that was denied, we had testimony that was forced, we had prosecutors that were obviously politically charged in these larger cases, and I think slowly and surely we're going to be finding out more here. And this larger sentiment of saying, you know what, we're not even going to give you the benefit of the doubt here. We don't trust you. We know what you did is the right sign here to make for Donald Trump, who clearly was a victim of these larger prosecutions. As we also found out that Donald Trump just banned John Bolton, John Brennan, and 47 other intel agents and officials from entering U.S. government facilities, all of them who a lot of them got their security clearances pulled too, lied in 2020 and told everyone that the Hunter laptop Biden story was, quote, Russian disinformation. I mean, how disingenuous, how insane did you have to get that in 2020? And this made an impact on the election. According to studies that were done afterwards, people were like, oh, yeah, the story that was suppressed on Facebook, on Google, on YouTube, on Twitter, and the corporate media and the intel agencies colluded together with big tech social media to say, yeah, this story that makes the guy we want in there look bad. You know what? Yeah. Axe it, cut it. People are just not going to be able to see it. The New York Post ran it. The New York Post got censored for running this story, and the other corporate media regurgitated the same talking points from the same government officials that were like, yeah, nothing to see here, folks. Don't believe the evidence in front of your own eyes and ears, as we know it's better. And this is all fake. This is all, hey, the Ruskies over there, those pesky Russians, those bad, Slavic, cold, bear hanging out with people. They did it. They're the ones. They're responsible. It's not Hunter Biden that's responsible here. He's innocent. And as, of course, a lot of people knew, he absolutely wasn't innocent at all here, which leads me to what will be the future of all of this as the intel agencies, in my opinion, are getting their butts handed to them in a ritualistic, amazing, incredible way, as there's finally some actual legitimate actions here from the President of the United States that a lot of people are saying is going to be acting in the same kind of fashion for the next 4 years. This is like 10 days. This is 10 days into his administration. Sure, some of the things he did, I'm not the biggest fan of, but overall, holy cow, we're dealing with a juggernaut. We're dealing with someone that doesn't give a damn anymore about appeasing the people who, of course, were stabbing him in the back. And I think that's a perfect kind of metaphor for his 2016 kind of presidential administration. And now he's taking the knives out and saying, get out. Now, you would expect a lot of people who get stabbed in the back to be, a little bit more angrier. But at least here we have this first, get out, out. Done with you guys, especially with your unfair prosecution of all the innocent people that you guys have arbitrarily tried to punish and destroy their lives. And sometimes they succeeded. There's a lot of people that were unfairly prosecuted that couldn't handle the stress, couldn't handle the pressure, couldn't handle the financial burden by being gone after by the full force of the federal government. Some of these people sadly took their lives. Some of these people will never recover ever again, as I believe there also needs to be some restitution towards some of the unfair judicial practices, as individuals like Roger Ver, Ian, Joby Weeks are still being unfairly prosecuted by the state for crimes of just simply existing and having a larger political idea that some leftoid at the DOJ that happily and thank goodness no longer is there had a hard-on for. That right there is not what this country is founded on, and I salute Donald Trump for making things right and actually firing and putting in check this larger system that absolutely abused its position of power. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.